It's 5 in the morning. A security flashlight hits your face. 30% of United States shelters force you out before sunrise. And the first decision isn't what to eat. It's where you're allowed to exist. Surviving 24 hours on $0 is a full-time job, run on a schedule most house people have never seen. The street is cold and half-lit. A metal door clangs shut behind a line of tired bodies, all blinking into the blue-black dark. Nobody sets an alarm for this hour by choice, but in about 30% of US shelters, the rules say you are out before 6. The city's official curfew clock is the real alarm, and there is no snooze button. Some people call this the route master's hour, the time when survival depends less on luck than on knowing which way to walk first. Every step is a calculation. Which block is safest? Which bus stop will not draw security? Which corner might already be claimed by someone tougher or more desperate? The wrong move can mean losing your spot in the breakfast line, or worse, getting swept up by police enforcing anti-loitering laws before the sun even rises. There is no time for hesitation. The mental map kicks in. Where is the nearest soup kitchen? What time do they open? How long is the walk? And will there be a line snaking down the block by the time you get there? In these first minutes after forced exit, the day's entire survival route begins to take shape, and every decision is made against the pressure of a clock nobody controls. Soup kitchens run on a logic most outsiders never notice. Each city has its own unwritten timetable, but everywhere the real rule is simple. If you are not early, you are out of luck. Doors might open at 7, but the line starts forming at least 30 minutes before. Veterans and families with children get an unspoken priority, sometimes a nod from a volunteer, sometimes a place held by a familiar face. In some kitchens, especially faith-based ones, a meal comes only after worship, so regulars plan their morning around a prayer service whether they believe or not. Across the country, there are about 13,500 to 14,000 free meal programs, from church basements to pop-up lunch lines, serving 2 to 5 billion meals every year. The scale is massive, but so is the competition. For someone trying to survive on $0, missing the first wave can mean waiting another hour or walking miles to the next site. The most experienced route masters keep mental maps of every opening time, every kitchen's quirks, every day's exceptions. Arriving late is not just inconvenient, it can mean going hungry until lunch. The clock keeps ticking, and so does the need for calories that one meal rarely covers. There is another map running in the background of every route master's day, a food map that nobody prints and few people outside the street circuit ever see. It's not just soup kitchens and meal lines, it's a shifting patchwork of public fruit trees, overgrown campus gardens, and city-managed planters that quietly double as grocery aisles for anyone who knows where to look. On paper, the digital platform Falling Fruit lists around 1.5 million entries worldwide, but the real count in the United States is closer to 20,000 unique spots. Fig trees behind libraries, mulberries along freeway fences, apples dropping on the edge of a city park. The map changes faster than any outreach worker can print a guide. By the time a pocket map lands in someone's hand, half the entries are already picked clean, fenced off, or flagged as private property. There is no liability shield for cities that share these locations, so every harvest comes with a legal question mark. Still, for someone with nothing in their pocket, these spots are a lifeline. The route master's morning is not just about beating the breakfast line, it's about memorizing which block has ripe plums in June, which hospital parking lot never gets checked, which neighborhood lets you pick without calling the cops. This is the food map nobody prints. A living, breathing network that fills in the gaps left by formal aid and sets up the riskier choices that come later in the day. By noon, the safe bets are gone. Soup kitchens close their doors, the fruit trees are stripped, and the next meal window is hours away. This is when the bravest route masters head for the dumpsters, the back alleys behind bakeries, supermarkets, or chain restaurants where edible food gets tossed on a clockwork schedule. In the United States, about 43 billion pounds of food that could be eaten goes to waste every year. That is bread, fruit, even sealed dairy, enough to feed entire cities. piled into bins just because the sell-by date ticked over or a shipment came in late. For someone living on $0, these waste streams are as predictable as a bus timetable. Bakeries dump racks of unsold loaves between 4 and 6 in the afternoon. Grocers clear out produce after the morning restock. In winter, the dumpsters themselves become walk-in fridges, keeping meat and dairy cold enough to last another day. But every grab comes with risk. The Supreme Court ruled in 1988 that once trash hits the curb, it is fair game. Yet city ordinances still hand out tickets for scavenging or trespassing on private property. Cuts from broken glass, chemical spills, and rodent bites are common. Still, for someone who knows the timing and the law, one lucky haul can mean a full day's calories. The line between survival and arrest is just a fence, a sign, or a security guard's flashlight away. Night falls, but hunger doesn't keep office hours. When the city's meal lines shut down and the last bakery bin is picked over, the route master's map lights up with a different kind of promise. Faith meals after dark. Church basements, mosque halls, and temple kitchens open their doors long past dinner, running on a rhythm that cares less about paperwork and more about presence. In some places, like Sikh gurdwaras, anyone can walk in, no identification, no questions, just to see it on the floor in a plate of lentils and rice. The tradition is called langar, and it runs on the belief that no one should be turned away hungry, ever. Other congregations serve late-night meals from folding tables in parking lots, offering hot soup and bread to whoever shows up. There's comfort in these lines that goes beyond calories, the safety of eating in a crowd, the low barrier to entry, the simple relief of not having to explain yourself. For the road master, that means one more meal logged, one less gap to fill, and a few more hours of warmth before the next scramble. The night isn't over, but for a moment, the pressure lifts. Cooking on the street is a science of improvisation and risk. A can of sterno, bought for $2 at a corner store, burns for about 2 hours, just long enough to boil water for ramen or heat a can of beans if you are careful. That's the gold standard for many route masters. It's cheap, portable, and doesn't draw much attention if you tuck into a bus shelter or a quiet corner of the park. But every flame is a gamble. Emergency rooms report that about 12% of homeless patients show up with burns or injuries from makeshift stoves, and open flames are banned almost everywhere. In Portland, a recent pilot handed out 1,200 insulated cooking kits with electric hot plates and safety guides, cutting burn injuries by nearly a third. For those with patience and sunlight, a solar bag can reach 200 degrees, enough to warm soup or slow-cook rice if you can wait all afternoon. It's not just about hunger, it's about harm reduction, stretching every dollar and knowing which method keeps you out of the emergency room. The unspoken code is simple: stay fed, stay safe, and never waste a match if you can help it. A phone isn't a luxury on the street. It's the one tool that keeps a person connected to food, shelter, and safety. A phone is a lifeline. About 68% of people living without homes have a working smartphone, but that number hides a daily crisis: battery anxiety. Every survival move, checking Food Finder for a pop-up meal, scanning Plentiful for a last-minute slot, or watching Too Good to Go for an end-of-day bakery drop, costs precious charge. Public Wi-Fi is spotty, and unlimited data is rare. By evening, the route master's eyes flick to the battery icon as often as the sky. A dead phone means missed alerts, lost maps, and no way to find the next meal. Libraries double as charging stations, but closing time comes fast. For someone surviving on $0, a single device is the difference between eating and going hungry, between being found and falling off the map. A sandwich wrapped in foil, a coffee handed over a counter, a box of cereal left on a bus stop bench. These gifts move through the city every day, quietly fueling the people who need them most. For every dollar someone hands out, about 3 times as much comes in the form of food, clothes, or supplies. The network is sprawling but unpredictable. Around 100,000 blessing boxes, those small unlocked cabinets filled by neighbors, dot the country, always stocked, emptied, and restocked in a rhythm nobody controls. In Seattle, a pay-it-forward kiosk experiment saw 150 meal vouchers redeemed daily. But most kindnesses aren't tracked or scheduled. One route master might collect a muffin from a barista, a granola bar from a delivery driver, and a sandwich from a blessing box all before noon. These moments add up, but they can't be counted on. The generosity is real, but the gaps are just as real, and every unplanned gift gets weighed in the day's calorie math. The numbers never add up. A healthy adult needs at least 1,500 to 2,000 calories a day just to stay level, but the street rarely delivers more than 1,000 or 1,200. Each meal, if you are lucky enough to get it, lands around 500 calories. A sandwich from a blessing box, a can of beans from a friend, a handful of fruit from a campus tree. Sometimes there is a stash tucked away, shelf-stable and rationed like gold, but the deficit is permanent, and the body knows it. By midnight, the route master's ledger is deep in the red. The rule is simple: never sleep in the same spot twice. Safety means rotation, park bench, transit shelter, church steps, always one eye open, always scanning for patrols or someone looking for an easy target. The last decision of the day is not about comfort. It is about which risk is smaller, hunger or harm. There is no right answer, only another night and another calculation that starts all over again at dawn. Every night, nearly 600,000 Americans navigate cities mapped by resource gaps, not street names. 46,000 meal sites keep millions alive, but tomorrow's route is never guaranteed. As 43 billion pounds of food go to waste each year, the real scarcity isn't calories, it's dignity. Drop your thoughts below.